Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. Hope you're doing well. I'm in a great mood. I actually woke up feeling very lucky. Not lucky my dog. I feel her when I wake up, but that's not what I mean. I feel her because she always seems to sleep on my chest. She's so protective that way. She's so funny. I just had a lucky feeling. So once in a while, I'll buy myself a scratch-off ticket. But this morning, I went to the Wawa, which if you're not from, I guess they're all over the United States now, or maybe just the East Coast. It used to just be a Pennsylvania thing. Anyway, it's like a 7-Eleven. So I was at the Wawa buying coffee, and I noticed that there was a $4 credit left on the lottery machine. Now, if someone had been walking away from it, I would have said, hey, but there was nobody around. So I thought, oh, okay. So I thought, well, I've got $4. I think I'll buy a $10 scratch off, which is a lot. So I put the rest of the money in for the $10 scratch off, and I ended up winning $220. So I'm in a good mood. I treated myself to a manicure, and I'm going out to dinner tonight. It would have been really cool if it were $2 million, but I probably would be dead of a heart attack and I wouldn't be talking to you today, but maybe next time. So what's today all about? Well, today I'm going to let you know a few things. I'm extending the giveaway for another week because Cameron's book hasn't arrived yet, and my books that I ordered of Carney have not arrived yet either. And for all of you who have ordered Carney so far, some of you have already started reading it, like Cameron Chaney put it on Instagram. It's so sweet. He's so supportive that way. I hope you're enjoying it if you're reading it, and if you are still waiting for it, thanks for your patience. And if you get to it down the road, great. One way that you might want to consider is become a library member on Patreon. I rarely plug Patreon on my videos because I frankly just forget all the time, but I do free uploads for all of my books, digital releases. So you can become a member for a month, and I think it's $2.99, $3 maybe, and get a free download of all my books, including Carney, if you want to do it that way. Just saying. Actually, speaking of my Patreon, I just uploaded a video where I did a little cleaning in this space. And if you watch that video, you have to be a patron to watch it, but if you watch that video, you can really see what a complete mess it was. What I did, I'll do a little insert so you can see a little sneak preview. I cleaned off my entire Paperbacks from Hell shelf unit and alphabetized. It took me like half a day to do this and then put them all back. So I'm very proud of how nice and neat that section. I could only do like one shelf unit. I'm talking about the entire IKEA shelf that I have unit. I can only do one at a time because it's quite daunting task, but I do feel accomplished. I hung up a few ornaments back there, a little tinsel, got rid of some of the Halloween stuff. My tree will be going up this week too. So I'm definitely feeling the holiday spirit, and the universe is giving back, so that's good. And for the guy who left his credit on the machine, I hope that he wins a lot of money when he checks his tickets. Okay, so we have some mail. I believe these are submissions for bookworms, so I'm going to put those aside. If you want to submit a story, a poem, an essay for Bookworms Zine, the deadline is January 1st. And speaking of bookworms, here we go. I thought I would put all three together because oops, they're upside down. I just love the colors. So this was the first one. This is sold out. Once they're gone forever. This was the summer issue. We have quite a few of these left. So this one didn't sell as well, but this is a very good issue. And then the Halloween issue, we're almost sold out completely. I'll put the link below. The zine has gotten great reviews. James and I have been having a great time doing it, and he and I had recorded a really good podcast. I say it was really good. I mean, I'm hoping it is as fun to listen to as it was to make. What I'm saying is we had a really great conversation. The podcast is about creative writing in general now. We're kind of expanding it a bit, so it's not just about horror, although naturally that's our focus because we're both in the horror genre, but we did an entire, I think about an hour episode about plotting versus pantsing. There's a poll on my community page, which you can look at and participate in. It was a really interesting conversation. So I have a package from my friend Patrick, and I'm loving these little robed figures here on the front. It kind of reminds me of Phantasm or Eyes Wide Shut, even some people might say Star Wars, although I'm not a Star Wars fan. Anyway, let's open and see what it is. Patrick is always so sweet to send me gifts. Finally. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to turn it over because I opened it from the bottom. I had a feeling it would be books. Don't you love these little things? Watch. Very satisfying. I better put my sword away. I don't want to push my luck because sometimes good luck comes with bad luck. All right, here we go. Another lovely card. Ooh, it's a 3D card. That's so cool. Dear Regina, happy holidays and best wishes for a wonderful new year. Thank you, Patrick. Your card is coming very soon, I promise. I love his handwriting. Wishing you the merriest and happiest of holidays and many blessings for this new year. Enclosed you'll find a fun little Krampus tale. Oh, I love Krampus. Along with some selected works of Truman Capote. Oh, I love Truman Capote. Each year I read his stories, A Christmas Party, One Christmas to get in the spirit. Along with the delicate, beautiful stories, there are some wonderful gothic and truly frightening stories included, which will be right up your alley. Enjoy, Patrick. P.S. Give Batilda my love. I will. Thank you so much. I haven't read those Truman Capote Christmas stories, and I'm wondering if one of those could be a good Christmas story, because I do a Christmas story time every year. I'll look into it. Thank you. So this is Lucky Girl, How I Became a Horror Writer, a Krampus story by M. Rickett. Huh, I do not know this. Ro, a struggling writer, knows all too well the pain and solitude that holiday festivities can awaken. When she meets 4 people at the local diner, all of them strangers, and as lonely as Ro is, she invites them to an impromptu Christmas dinner. Nothing could go wrong there, right? And when that party seems in danger of an early end, she suggests they each tell a ghost story, one that's seasonally appropriate. But Ro will come to learn that the horrors hidden in a Christmas tale, or once past, can never be tamed once unleashed. Wow, this sounds really good, and it's short, so I'm going to put that right here. Oh, Truman Capote, what a beautiful book, Breakfast at Tiffany's. I've never read Breakfast at Tiffany's. In fact, the only Truman Capote book I've ever read was In Cold Blood, and maybe some essays, but that's gorgeous. The Truman Capote Complete Stories. These books are lovely. Thank you. Oh, and here's In Cold Blood. Oh, I'm due for another read of this. I'll probably wait till after Christmas. If you've never read In Cold Blood, I highly recommend it. Is it the first? No, it can't be the first true crime novel. Someone let me know in the comments below. I can't think of one before that, but it's a novel based on a true crime. Okay, that's amazing. Thank you. And Dan Simmons, really like Dan Simmons as a writer, A Winter Haunting. One of the scariest and most unnerving ghost stories to come along in quite some time. Ooh, this looks good. A once respected college professor and novelist, Dale Stewart, has sabotaged his career and his marriage, and now darkness is closing in on him. In the last hours of Halloween, he has returned to the dying town of Elm Haven, his boyhood home, where he hopes to find peace and isolation. But moving into a long-deserted farmhouse on the far outskirts of town, the one-time residence of a strange and brilliant friend who lost his young life in a grisly accident back in the terrible summer of 1960, is only the latest in his long succession of recent mistakes. Because Dale is not alone here. He has been followed to the House of Shadows by private demons who are now twisting his reality into horrifying new forms, and a thick blanketing early snow is starting to fall. This sounds amazing. Amazing. This sounds like a great winter read, A Winter Haunting. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books. And Patrick, what can I say? You're amazing, and thank you so much, sincerely. I'm feeling doubly lucky today because I have such good friends, and I got to remember that. You know, sometimes to go off on another tangent. This might be one of those videos. I confess to some late night doom scrolling on Twitter, which is insane. I never tweet. I just have like a secret account. I don't follow anyone. I just use it to doom scroll, meaning I look at whatever is trending and it's always horrible. And I don't know why I do that to myself because it seriously gives me nightmares. But then I have to remember life is a balance between the light and the dark. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So I thought I would do a little catch up about what I've been reading and what I've been doing. I forgot to mention in my last video that I recently attended a workshop in my town at our bookstore called Bristol Books and Bindery. It's a new bookstore. It's only been open less than a year, and it's amazing. It's an amazing place. It's beautiful, great atmosphere. It really brings a lot of cozy warmth to our little downtown area, which when I first moved here 20 years ago was mostly boarded up. It was a really bad time for this town. And now we have bookstores, we have coffee shops, we have sushi restaurant, we have more restaurants, and it's great. Our town is really growing, and I'm really happy to see it. Anyway, and I'm glad I bought my house for cheap years ago. So, there's that too. But yeah, I attended a bookbinding workshop, and it was a small class, and I knew all the people who were taking the class were friends of mine, so we really had a good time. An expert bookbinder, the owner, and then her mentor, who was an expert as well, helped us learn how to bind our own book. It took all day, and it was incredible and well worth it. So here is the book that I made. I made this. Now, I didn't do the marbling. That was done, the paper. I chose this from some samples. That's another workshop that one of my friends who was in attendance, she had taken it. That was the day before. She used her marbling, which is great for her book, but I chose this. I love the colors. It's leather bound. It's all stitched. This was all done with like paste and thread. It's a blank book. I love it. I'm hooked on this. I had to press it under, I put like a heavy weight of a bunch of books on top of it so it wouldn't warp. But isn't that cool? I love this. I love this so much. I can't wait to do it again, really. That's something, it was so relaxing and we were so focused on doing it that the time just went, and it's like doing that kind of craft that it's just great. Plus, I love books. So what have I been reading? Okay, I finally finished Dark Shadows, Angelique's Descent by Lara Parker. This is the first book. I believe there are 3, maybe 4. I only have the first 2, so I have to get the rest of Lara Parker. She was the beautiful actress who played Angelique, and then she wrote this book series. And I was shocked at how good it is. I shouldn't say shocked because it's like you can be a beautiful actress and a really excellent writer, right? Her writing is great. It's so gothic and wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So this is a origin story of Angelique. So in this book, Lara Parker set out to answer the question, how did Angelique become a witch? And she does in great detail. And I really loved it. I was enthralled by this book, and it was beautifully written. So let's just do a quick look at this. In the cult classic Dark Shadows, Barnabas Collins and Angelique were eternally bound by love and hate, and you understand why the hate. Barnabas is not a great guy. Let's just put it that way. And I was just, I was always on Barnabas's side. After reading this, I have a new perspective on that relationship. Now, actress Lara Parker, Angelique herself, tells the story of how it all began. The dashing heir of a New England shipping magnate, Barnabas Collins captured the heart of the sensual Angelique amid the exquisite beauty of Martinique, her island home. Angelique's brief happiness is destroyed when Barnabas cruelly deserts her and becomes engaged to another. Little does Barnabas know of the evil his betrayal will unleash. For Angelique is no ordinary woman, raised in the mysterious art of voodoo witchcraft, which the book goes into in depth, and I really liked that part. She long ago pledged her soul to darkness and became immortal. Vowing to torment and destroy Barnabas, a vengeful Angelique damns him to eternal life as a vampire, a companion who will accompany her forever. Little does Angelique understand the depths of Barnabas's fury. You've got to love this kind of love story. You know, like the love-hate story is something, I'm not going to say I can relate to it, but I definitely am intrigued by it. Let's put it that way. Especially going into the new Bookworms, which has a theme of My Bloody Valentine. There are people who are connected, and if not by love, then that love can turn into hate. I remember seeing an interview, and I tried to find it again, and I couldn't find it, with Tom Petty talking about Stevie Nicks, who I'm sure he had had a long-term affair with over the years. I mean, they were friends, but I think they were more than friends. And he said about Stevie and Lindsey Buckingham that, oh, they love each other, but they really hate each other too. And he said it twice, so I thought he probably knows that kind of bond. There's nothing like it when it comes to like a really good love story, if you like dark love stories like I do. So yes, I highly recommend. I can't wait to read the next one. And then I also read this beautiful classic, The Witch of Blackbird Pond by Elizabeth George Spear. I really like this version because this is the cover I remember when I was a kid. This book came out in 1959. I believe it won the Newbery Award. It's a young, middle grade, I think, book. But it's wonderful no matter how old you are. I read this when I was a kid. This was a book that, it may have even been in one of my classes. I can't remember, but because it is a historical novel, it deals with the Connecticut colonies in the 1600s. There was definitely a connection between this book and the Angelique book because this main character, Kit, comes from Barbados. She's not a witch, but she's raised in a different culture. And then her father dies, she loses her wealth, and then has to go to Connecticut on a ship to connect with family that she's never met before. Colonist Puritans who are living in Connecticut, and they're really puritanical, very straight-laced, and it gets into all of that kind of history and culture, and her ways and the way she dresses, and the fact that she jumps out of early in the novel, she jumps out of a boat to swim to retrieve a kid dropped her doll, and she thinks nothing of just diving in and going for a swim, which is a lot like Angelique in her, when she's in Martinique. She has a freedom of her spirit, and of course the Puritans are shocked by that kind of display, and not only that, they think, well, she might be a witch because that was one of the tests for a witch. Throw them in the pond. If they drown, they're innocent. If they float, they're a witch, and then we'll hang them. That always seemed like a bad bargain to me. So what else? I guess that's it. And then the last thing I wanted to just quickly mention is that I am currently rereading and not having a good time at all. Stephen King's The Dark Tower, The Gunslinger. I'm about a little more than halfway through. This is like pulling teeth. I do not like this book at all. This is actually the second time I've read this because the first time I read it, I just didn't like it. And so I thought, because my book club at the bookstore, this is the book for this month. And when I try to remember what it was about, I'm like, okay, I remember a desert, and it's kind of like an apocalyptic Western, and this gunslinger, and there's a little boy, and they're chasing a man in black, but it's got to be more than that. And then now that I'm rereading it, I'm like, no, it's pretty much that's what it is. This book is so dull. I'm sorry, Stephen King, if you're watching. I'm sure you're not, but I heard that the rest of the series gets good, but maybe this is just like a prequel to an incredible, stunning season. I know it's a movie or like a television series, but wow. I've been listening to audiobook on double time while I'm reading along with it, because I do want to be able to participate in my book club discussion, but I cannot get a grip on the story. My mind keeps wandering. The scenes go on forever, sitting around a fire. Stephen King is, and I know he wrote this a long time ago, he is an incredible writer as far as his descriptions, and I feel like I'm there, but there's no story. It's just this dull kind of slow chase scene, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really into like apocalyptic stories. I say that, but now I'm rewatching Dark on Netflix, which is definitely an apocalyptic story. Almost feels like The Stand, but like way pared down. And I do like The Stand, but yeah, I'm ending on a bit of a downer. I don't like this book. I'm just going to say it. Okay, so let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books I discussed today or any of the silly things I mentioned. I would love to hear your thoughts. So I hope your luck today is as good as mine was, and I will see you next time in my haunted library. Bye!